Hey. It has been a week. It has been a week here. So, had to make a cheesecake, right? Told you guys I had to make a cheesecake. And I made a test one. Turned out fantastic. Then I went to make the one for our church dinner. And, yeah, I was supposed to turn the oven off and let the cheesecake, cool down in the oven. And I didn't. I just forgot to turn the oven off. I turned off the timer. So when I started going, what does that smell? And realized it's a burnt cheesecake. I had to quick make up another one the next morning. So I have now made 3 cheesecakes in a week. Thankfully, the one that I took ended up so good, so wonderful. I'm actually really glad that I remade it anyway. And then the littlest one had to stay home sick from school for a day. She's fine now, but it was just, it was a tough time. But getting to hang out with her was pretty cool. And now husband's not feeling so good. I'm hesitant to say he has the flu because, well, he's had his flu shot. I'm not sure. But he's just not feeling so hot. So it just seems like out of nowhere, everybody's just been getting run down. And now here we all are, just doing our best. So we're here to review Sister Wives because I've rambled on for long enough. And honest to goodness, I really had hoped for more from this episode. This, like, Christine's House Hunters crossover episode, it was kind of disappointing, if I'm being honest. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Cozy. I like to talk about Sister Wives and related reality television shows here on YouTube. I do like to remind you these videos are for entertainment purposes only. These are not facts, they're just my opinions about public figures sharing their lives on television. So, as long as we're good, we're good. Alright, so let's open up with what should have been the most interesting part of the show, which is Janelle's gonna go visit Mary. And Mary is acknowledging she and Janelle are not super close. They don't really hate each other, or at least Mary doesn't hate Janelle. And I would argue that Janelle wanting to come over and talk to Mary to keep her safe from being screwed over and all of this kind of shows that Janelle doesn't hate Mary either. But again, we need some manufactured drama, so let's just say it that way. Janelle pulls up in her blue Toyota, which we have to pretend we don't know it's a Toyota since we blocked out most of the letters, but okay. Janelle makes sure that we know she does not have any ill will toward Mary. And they've just never had much of a one-on-one relationship. This pile of snow that Janelle walks past, though, to get to the door is as tall as she is, and it looks like the ice problem hasn't really been resolved because we get the icy walk shuffle. If you're from anywhere north, essentially, or that gets snow in the mountains, you know that icy shuffle, the one where it's like, please don't let me fall and make a fool of myself in front of a lot of people. Janelle does recap her conversation with Cody and reminds us that she still feels that property is in trouble, or at the bare minimum, getting it paid off is not a guarantee. She wants to go talk to Mary about it, though. She knows Mary's a very capable adult, and Janelle feels this responsibility to alert Mary to what was said. Considering that Mary's never been one to track the family finances, Janelle kind of needs to quiet her conscience and just tell Mary, this is what's going on. And Mary greets her at the door, and they take this moment to acknowledge it's been at least a year since they've really gotten together. Yes, they saw each other at the wedding, but they didn't interact a ton. It's been a bit. And Janelle's like, this is going to be awkward. And Mary's like, I don't think this is a social visit. And she's right. It is significantly less social and more, these facts need laid out. This is what you need to hear. And frankly, Mary should probably be involved with that fact-finding mission with the lawyer that Janelle brought up last week. I'm not sure she cares to be, but she needs to be given the opportunity at least. So we hop on over to the She-Ra Chateau, and Cody's showing off that he's got this plow on his four-wheeler. ATV. Very seriously, is there a difference or is there not? Like, I'm being absolutely... I've never had the space or the money to have one, and I should probably learn since, like, I dream of acreage and cows and gardens and chickens. But, like, I don't know. Is it just a name for it? I don't know. Y'all, if I'm being ridiculous, tell me, is there a difference between a four-wheeler and an ATV? But I noticed that he's got this plow on it, right? And I think back to when they had the fight about the snowblower. You're really going to take this? Did you really want her snowblower? I mean, like, do we think that the snowblower would have accomplished the same thing in the same amount of time? Because he's got a giant driveway. And now he's got a plow on his toy, essentially. Whatever. You know what? Fine. As Cody says, they have this big piece of property with a lot of snow, which comes across as kind of tone deaf, considering that Janelle and Mary, Janelle was in these teeny tiny apartments. And Mary's about to move out to the B&B, which is significantly smaller. You know what, whatever, once again, doesn't really matter. Cody says that this is the most snow he has ever seen here. And it's got to be like 8 foot of snow off of each side of the house. And so, I'm a curious kitten. So I looked it up. So that winter was the 5th snowiest winter on record since 1899, I believe. From about December to March for that season. So headed into, right. So from about December to March, the National Weather Service totaled the snowfall at 163.1 inches, or around 13 feet for the entire season. And that is insane. Listen, the worst snowfall I've ever seen, looking back, I can remember it clearly. My parents' dog disappeared into the snow when she went off the porch, and it caused a level 3 snow emergency, which is one of those, listen, you can't drive unless there is like a legitimate reason for you to have to drive kind of situations. And I think that it was maybe 3-4 feet, maybe. I can't remember. I remember very distinctly. We didn't make them into tunnels necessarily, but we had to dig pathways out for the dog because we would have just lost her. She'd have been gone. It was tall enough that you didn't, once she went thump into it, which we had not anticipated, you couldn't even see her like making gopher tunnels in the snow. It was wild. So Cody's trying to direct the kids to unbury the truck, and he says, it's obvious that someone is getting snow in their face, because they're going to have fun. And I turned to my husband and was like, oh, wow. If Truly isn't there with her garden shovel, it takes everybody to get the snow done. Snarky, I know. But also the insinuation of snow in the face equals fun. No, sir. See, that's usually when the snowball fight ends. Because our rule is you're not allowed to hit anybody in the head. Anywhere else in the body, great. Not in the head, not in the face. But they're using shovels to like dig the snow off of the truck itself. And some of them do appear to have garden shovels as opposed to snow shovels. And yes, okay, sure. Use whatever you have, whatever means you have to get the snow off the truck, I suppose. But then Cody gives the warning, do not scratch the truck. And of course, Ariella then like whips her shovel right at her father. And it's looking like she's looking for a high sticking penalty, if y'all know hockey. And bam, truck and shovel meet. And Cody is just stunned and goes, you hit the truck. Oh. So Couch Cody's like, I have to hold my tongue because if I get angry, then it's not fun for anybody. Right. But also someone probably should explain why we don't try to hit people with a shovel and how it's really lucky that the only thing that got hurt was the truck, because I'm not a permissive parenting kind of person. That shovel would have been in my hands and we'd have been having a conversation about how we do not try to hit other people and hurt other people because accidents happen. And luckily this was the accident and not something worse. Like we're not, no. But he says he's got to be really careful that his kids are enjoying his company as they're working together. And we heard him say that he wants to be a better dad. So, okay, I guess if you want your kids to enjoy your company, but enjoying your company, once again, doesn't mean that we let people do the things that would be dangerous. They do eventually get the truck cleared off, as Cody's goal was to get the driveway done and get the kids to school. And we watch him back out, and it's still clearly a little treacherous because that truck seems to kind of wiggle as it's going down the driveway. But back over at Mary's, Janelle is blown away by this empty living room. Like, she stops and she's like, where's all your stuff, basically? So she's like, why is this so empty? And Mary's like, I'm giving stuff away. And Janelle, standing up still, gets to hear Mary's news that Mary's moving. She's done. She's off. And she says, listen, let me sit down because that's a lot. Janelle's like, this is good for her. And tells Mary, good for you. You go. And Mary's explaining that it's been since last spring, really, that she felt like she needed to move and just be at the B&B full time because it's a lot to go back and forth and back and forth. And it would be, because what did we say before? It's about 5 hours, right? And she confirms she's going to be there full time when Janelle asks her, is that what you're doing? Janelle looks around this really empty room and you can see this look on her face and it seems a little sad, almost like she's really putting it together. This is real. This is happening. Mary is moving away. This all, it's done. And Mary and Janelle are both looking absolutely fantastic on the couch as they're telling us that, Mary didn't really know where Janelle stood with Cody. And Janelle's admitting her surprise and then gives us the immortal words of Lizzo when she says, it's about damn time. Janelle says Mary's loyal to a fault, and then becomes the second person on this show to compare Mary's loyalty to that of a dog. Great. She alludes to this dog who takes a beating and comes right back without outright saying that. And then clarifies she is not calling Mary a dog. She just feels that the level of loyalty is very similar, and Mary just finally reached her endpoint. Mary's laughing and says that this is what she's doing. And she's like, so what are you doing? And Janelle says, nothing. I'm free. And she starts to bring up Savannah, and Mary's like, wait, what do you mean by free? And Janelle's like, oh, no. The relationship with Cody is officially over. We've officially said it's done. And she needs something different. And Mary wants to know, are you happy? And Janelle's like, I am happy. I'm at peace. And Mary, are you happy? Yeah, she's all right. She's all right. And they're like, this is weird, Janelle says, but you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. And Mary wishes that things in the family could have gone a different way. And then Janelle takes a breath and her eyes start to sparkle a bit. And not in that happy way, but you know what I mean? In the way where, like, you're trying not to cry. But she's agreeing. Yeah, she wishes things could be different too. It's obvious Janelle's got a lot of feelings that she's trying to hold on to here, in my opinion. And she and Mary may not be besties, but this is the end of a major part of their lives. And it would be natural to feel some level of sadness, shock, surprise, any of those things, especially seeing this house so very empty. Couch Mary tells us that after all the time and effort that was put in, it is sad to see how things have played out. And Janelle's agreeing, wishing that they'd all been able to stick it out together, because seeing how Cody's become estranged from the majority of his children is absolutely heartbreaking to her, and we know that that's a big deal for Janelle. Janelle, of course, wishes things could have been different. I'm sure anyone would. Mary, though, has suspicions that Janelle and Cody were going to split up, and she doesn't really think that any of the OG3 came into this life thinking that this is where they were going to end up. She is certain that all of them thought that they were going to end up all together, but she's got every confidence that things are going to work out for all of them. So Janelle's going to get down to business to defeat the Huns. That's way funnier if you know that people in MLMs like Mary are called Huns, just saying. No, we're just going to handle Coyote Pass. She lets Mary know that the note is due in 75 days, and if they don't make it, they stand to lose the entire property, even the things they've already paid off. And Mary questions that little bit, like, are you sure? Yeah, those two. Because my understanding is that they put the bits they had paid up front up as collateral against the note. I could be entirely incorrect here, but that was my understanding. So if they lose, if they don't pay off, that's what would make sense, right? If they don't pay it off, that they would lose the collateral, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But the fact that Mary is completely unaware that that's a possibility is really concerning to me. And it doesn't seem to be concerning to her at all. She says she's not worried. You didn't know what you all had signed, though? Like, that's worrying to me. Janelle tries to let her know. Cody keeps saying, the money's not there. The money's not there. He doesn't have the money. And Mary's like, well, I know we've had other bills that need to be paid. And Janelle is really kind of gentle and cautious when she says, there was always money to do this. It just had to be prioritized. Because it's clear that Mary doesn't know the whole story. And I think she's really trying to be gentle, like, hey, you're being lied to. Mary was under the impression that Janelle had been controlling the family finances. And Janelle's like, no, I'm just the bookkeeper. I just run the numbers. I don't decide where it all goes. And now she's realizing that Cody's been telling everybody she's in control of the money. And she says if she was, they would be in a very different position. And I don't doubt that. But Janelle definitely knows things, and she is trying not to broadcast all of it to us, but also sort of let Mary know that, hey, this is a big deal. She suggests that Mary needs to protect her interests in Coyote Pass because she should be entitled to a quarter of it. Is that true? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you. I can just tell you that's what Janelle says. Couch Mary explains that the 4 lots that they had originally purchased and intended to divide into 5 with this plan to build, well, now we don't need to divide into 5. But she tells Janelle, I don't think there's a need for protection. Because don't you think we have each other's backs? And when Mary sees what Cody's been saying in his talking heads this entire season, I'm not sure she's going to feel the same way about it. But it's also clear that Janelle does have Mary's back, based on the fact that she's even here having this conversation. Janelle is being honest when she says, no, I don't think so. Couch Mary still trusts Couch Mary still trusts Cody and Robin, and she doesn't believe that they would try to take the entire property. I don't know if I think they would either. I honestly think that Cody wants to sell it and be done, or have one of the other women to take it off of his hands and just be done with it. Do I necessarily trust that if they did sell it, that Cody would give the women their fair share? No, I don't trust that personally. Janelle does not believe that Cody and Robin are to be trusted either. And she says to Mary, yeah, I have your back. I just want to make sure that you're protected here. This is your entire estate. Now, Janelle, that's not entirely true. Mary has the B&B, but I understand as far as coming from the marriage, this is everything. Janelle wants to make sure that Mary does understand what's going on. And Mary gets a touch upset when she says, then tell me what's going on. It can be frustrating because you're having this conversation on camera and you don't want to let the whole world know everything that you know, but Mary does need to know. So, frankly, it might have been better served to not do this for all of us. Janelle's explaining, you're on one piece, and Mary's like, yeah, right, you, me, and Cody. And Janelle's like, you are on none of the other pieces. And that's important because that could mean, hypothetically, allegedly, that Cody could try and say that she is only entitled to the value of 1/3 of 1/4 of the land. Does that math make sense to you? So she would only be entitled to 1/3 of the piece that her name is on, which I don't even think is 1/4 of the land. I'm not sure the exact lot size, but I don't think it plays out to be an exact quarter. And that would definitely be rough goings because the amount of money and time and effort Mary's put into a lot of things to get 1/3 of 1/4, not what I'd like to see. Janelle says that technically Mary is entitled to 1/4 of the value of the property. Once again, not a legal scholar. I don't know how true that is. Janelle has talked to a lawyer. Maybe she knows something that I don't. But Janelle says if worse come to worse, then if it's sold, Mary's not likely to get that 1/4 in her mind. Janelle is super duper concerned, and I would bet neither of them saw any return on investment when Cody and Robin's house was sold recently, especially after Cody threw such a temper tantrum about the family putting money in for Christine's house. I'm not going to speculate. Janelle wants to make sure that Mary gets what is fair. And she really wants it to all be smooth sailing. She just hopes that it is all just, hey, we can take care of this. And Mary's like, well, if we all came together, we could pay it off. And Janelle's like, no, listen, Cody keeps saying he doesn't have his part, which she had already kind of alluded to before. Mary's like, well, Cody's creative with his finances. She says, we have a big family. There are definitely reasons where you would rob Peter to pay Paul, right? Everyone's done it, she says. And she does share her thoughts that everyone has a different opinion about different people in the family and different financial situations in the family, but she doesn't know what's true because she's not in either club. She's not in the ex-wives club. She's not in the Cody and Robin club. She doesn't know. But this is concerning because it does look like from the framing of the show that there might be some different stories being floated around the family. Like, hypothetically, allegedly, Janelle being in charge of the money when it comes to Mary, but not being allowed to touch it when it comes to Cody. That might be the thing. So when Mary says she's not concerned, I think she should be, and I am, especially if Janelle's here telling you to your face, no, I've not been in charge of this money. I've not been in charge of any of this. And I think you need to be aware of that. And Janelle thinks that Mary still kind of expects Cody to take care of her. But Mary's disagreeing. I don't expect Cody to take care of me. I expect Cody to be a gentleman, and I expect him to be fair. She points out if we're entitled to some of the property, then he should be fair about it. He should be. Should being the operative word there. Janelle tells Mary that she feels like she needs to protect herself, and Mary gives a really awkward, sorry you feel that way. Girl, come on. That was condescending as all get out, and you know it. We're not doing that today. She's here to help you. Janelle argues, listen, I'm just trying to be logical about this. And she tells us she doesn't even know if she can trust Mary not to report this all back to Cody. So that's where that ends. With nothing. Great. Thank you, because now we're going to get an episode of House Hunters scrunched into Sister Wives. And TLC and HGTV are both Discovery networks, so couldn't we have just gotten like a crossover episode instead? But no, Listen, I'm going to be so upfront with you guys because I have next to nothing to say about the actual homes that we saw. I have never been a fan of house hunting shows. They always come across as super fake. And frankly, I have seen enough of the Sister Wives house hunt to last me a lifetime. It feels like there was an entire season in Vegas that was just episodes of house hunters. That's why we know Mona Reiki so well. At any rate, Christine says she's done living apart from David, and they want to try and find a place before Gwen's engagement party in Flagstaff. Great, go for it. The fact that they do not makes me worry that we're just going to pad out this season's episode numbers with more of this mess. Because all these houses seem fairly similar. And the differences were not notable enough for me to feel like I can give you like these deep descriptions or deep feelings about any of these homes. So I'm actually just going to focus almost entirely on the talking head segments. Like where David says that his parents met and got engaged in a week. So he thinks, that's fast. They're going really slow. You know what? I know someone who met their husband and got married the same week. And it really actually worked out for them. They were together until he passed. But I agree. All of those situations are pretty fast. So David's thinking, well, they're going super slow comparatively. And so Christine's like, I know what side of the bed that David prefers, but I don't know his daily habits. She does allude that there have been sleepovers. But in the morning, it's time to leave. And this is fresh and new. So does anyone else notice that in these couch interviews, all three of the ladies are looking like ultra blonde, like they've had a fresh touch-up or something? It just came to me. So Christine's bringing up that she gave Cody a large portion of her closet when they were together, and that David doesn't have a big closet where he lives now. She also says that David doesn't have a lot of clothes, but he has a lot of hoodies. And as a Midwesterner, fine. I think you should have all the hoodies. And, you know, every time my husband gets a hoodie, it might accidentally become mine, and then I get sweaters, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. She reminds us that she did everything on her own for her Vegas house, and now she's kind of got to slow down and actually ask David what he thinks, what he wants, what he likes. And so this is really a couple buying a house experience for her that she's never really had, and she has to remind herself not to steamroll his opinions. But she says the first house they saw was a no. And David shares that at about 5 or 6 weeks after they started dating, they already had discussed living together. And he's the type of guy, you suggest something, he's not procrastinating. He's getting it done. So, now, am I crazy? Or house number 2, is that the kitchen from the wedding specials? Because the kitchen seems super, super familiar. It just does. It seems so familiar. And maybe it's just similar. Maybe a lot of the kitchens seemed similar in this. That one was vaguely different. I'm really like racking my brain. Like I want to side by side them, but I just don't have a way to do that right now. So if you know, tell me, help a girl out, because I would like to know. But Christine's like, I don't remember Cody even picking out colors for the house. And Cody's arguing Christine likes to complain. He never did anything for her or her house. And, like, I'm remembering back to when they were sitting down doing the design work for the houses in Vegas. Do we all remember they were sitting at the big table and Mary went first and she didn't have anything done? She kept asking Cody's opinions and Cody got frustrated. It was like, bring me a wife who already has decisions made, right? And they bring in Christine. And then he's, like, trying to convince her to give Mary some of her budget and she's like, we'll see. And then immediately jumps in with all these decisions that were already made. Now, that does not mean he didn't help make the decisions behind the scenes, but that specific scene doesn't really imply that you had much to do with it, Codester. I'm just saying. Christine says that as far as when she got in her home in Vegas, Cody actually didn't care that much what she had in there. And Cody was like, I was super involved with the house in Vegas. I still don't recall seeing any of that on the show. So, but listen, if the editing was super, super awful, fine. But like, it doesn't look that way in my memory. It doesn't. And he claims they had a lot of fun picking out where they would live and nesting together. Well, what? Picking out where you would live. Y'all found these 4 lots. I don't know who made the decision on who went where specifically on the 4 lots, but that's not how that came across either, where you would live. I don't know. Christine remembers finding out later that he was super, super involved with Robin's home and that they really planned it all out together. And she's like, Cody and I just weren't really a couple. We did our own things. So they literally walk into house number 3, right? And Christine goes, no, kitchen's too small, coloring's different. And now here's the thing. The kitchen doesn't look that much smaller than any of the other ones that they looked at to me. And frankly, this actually was my favorite house of the 3. So when she shut it down so super fast, I was disappointed. I was like, I didn't even get to see anything. Whatever. I wonder if this was House Hunter rules, though. Because, like, I don't know how true this is. Hypothetically, allegedly, you have to have already purchased your home to be on House Hunters. So, like, the no's were never actually in the running to begin with. And it's all really staged. And whatever house they say yes to, they had already purchased. And this is coming off that way to me a little bit. Because they're looking at these homes and Christine just walks in and says no without actually looking around at all. I don't know. There's only ever been one house that I walked into to be like, no, and walked back out. And that's because I got the vibe that there were, like, demons in the basement. So, no. I don't know if there were or weren't. It gave off bad vibes to me and I didn't like it. But Christine's reflecting how they're starting to figure out how to start their lives together and combine the things so that they start out with this, like, so they start out with the most stable starting point they possibly can. And she's like, we have this flow and we just sync up together. And so maybe that's why it just doesn't feel fast to them. And Christine's reflecting on, like, there were some definite cutting ties moments in her life. When she moved, when she sold the house, when she started dating. These were all steps she took toward leaving the life of polygamy behind and beginning this new life of monogamy. And when she thinks back, she's wondering how she starts. And then she's like, well, when I think about Mary and Janelle and however they want to move on, she just wants them to move on with however their future looks to them. And like I said, the House Hunters portion of the episode, I don't have a lot of notes. I don't. There wasn't really anything that exciting, and I'm really serious. They own both. Discovery owns both. Just put Christine and David on House Hunters instead of on Sister Wives. I think you would have gotten a better episode out of it, I'm being honest, because this was kind of boring, and I would have liked to see more of Mary and Janelle. And I know we still have Gwen's engagement party to talk about, but even that just felt... I wanted more. I wanted more of all of it. This episode just was lacking. It left too much on the cutting room floor, if you know what I mean. I'd have rather had a whole episode where most of it was Mary and Janelle talking with a little bit of House Hunters, and then a completely separate episode for Gwen's engagement party, than all 3 of these little chunks put together that left me wanting more. I don't know. Maybe I'm not making sense. Whatever. Y'all know how it is here. I talk and I talk and I talk, and sometimes I make sense and sometimes I don't. But other than that, I don't really have much else for this particular episode. We'll get to the engagement party, much like we always do, splitting these into 2 so that I'm not here rambling and talking at you guys for too long. But I'm excited to hear the things you guys have to say down in the comments below. Let me know how you guys felt about the houses. Let me know if you felt like I glossed over it too much. That 3rd house, I still think was really cute. It's all good. Y'all don't have to like it either, but that's just how I felt about it. So, let's all take a deep breath, get ready for Gwen's engagement party, and then for the next episode of Sister Wives, which, God willing, will have better flow and more information for us. Until then, I'll see y'all later. Bye.